As I navigate the delicate dance of unspoken farewells, I wonder, how do we grasp the fleeting moments before they slip away? And what hidden signs might reveal our loved ones' deepest struggles? After hearing George's poignant reflections, I found myself contemplating the rhythm of life that often accompanies our loved ones. As a seasoned observer, I've come to understand that subtle shifts can usher in profound transitions. My dear friend Henry often laughs when I bring up our rituals, but I believe rituals are the heartbeat of relationships. One intriguing shift I've noticed is when routine begins to evaporate like morning mist, revealing a landscape of unspoken fears. For instance, I recall the summer when my neighbor Miss Edna suddenly stopped watering her garden. That garden had been her pride, overflowing with blooms that she nurtured daily. The moment she neglected the flowers was my wake-up call. It was time to check in more closely. She later shared with me how her late husband used to tend the garden with her. His absence had dulled the joy the blooms once brought her. Henry, with his playful spirit, interjected as I shared this tale. "It's the small changes that matter, isn't it?" he said, recalling how his own routine had shifted after his wife passed away. I couldn't bring myself to host chess tournaments at first. It all felt too heavy without her laughter filling the house. I nodded in agreement, the truth resonating deep within me. The titles of our lives, grandmother, neighbor, friend, frame our identities, and when they start to fade, the echoes of those roles draw our attention. Changes in routine reveal layers of grief or weariness, signaling that perhaps a gentle nudge or a warm visit is needed. That's when I began to see the beauty in regularly gathering around Henry's garden table. It symbolized connection and transformation. Another unspoken sign that often goes unnoticed, I have found, is the subtle shift in communication styles. When the vibrant stories shared at the dinner table turn into mere snippets of conversation, it's time to lean in, to pry gently without being intrusive. Last winter, during one of our cozy gatherings, I noticed Clara's storytelling flicker. "I used to lose track of time when telling a story," she mentioned with a teasing smile, but I sensed a hesitance behind her eyes. Now I zipped through, thinking of all the things I must still do. As her friend, I felt a gentle urgency to coax the stories back to life, reminding her that her narratives were what wove our fabric of friendship. Engagement, I realized, must be twofold: encourage her to share and enrich her sense of connection. Perhaps one of the most touching lessons I've gleaned through observing these subtle signs is how physicality can betray inner thoughts. There's a warmth in laughter, yet an occasional gaze that drifts away can disrupt the balance. Henry has always been one to prioritize connection through touch, a hug, a handshake, a fist bump followed by twinkling eyes. But one day last spring, I noticed he hesitated as he reached for my hand. "Is everything all right, Henry?" I asked, alarmed by the sudden distance. He chuckled, but it didn't reflect all the way up to his eyes, revealing worry lingering beneath the surface. It turned out he was grappling with health challenges, one that pulled the vibrancy from his laughter. That moment solidified my belief that our loved ones may withhold the weight of their burdens, reminding me to watch closely for those gentle, unspoken shifts that may call for compassion. As I reiterate these lessons with Clara and Henry, my heart swells with purpose. I want to share how vigilance doesn't equate to burden. It's an opportunity for presence. I often remind myself that monitoring these signs is about fostering love in its purest forms. Offering a simple cup of tea, initiating a soothing talk while tending to flowers, or even casually inviting someone to share their favorite stories once more. It's about finding breathing space where they can revel in their feelings without concern. While I've learned deeply from my cherished friends and the stories they share, I always derive immense satisfaction from the moments that spark joy within their cycling routines. As we gather to share our thoughts, I see the flicker of understanding sparkle in each of our eyes. Recognizing these unspoken signs, our conversations blossom into discussions about what it means to embrace life fully. Each sign, each whisper of a change, serves as a reminder that we're intimately linked, our fates intertwined in an ecosystem of love and support. Suddenly, the thought strikes me: what if, while we acknowledge these signs, we also celebrate the beauty of our present moments. A new narrative unfolds, and I urge my friends to cherish the laughter, to embrace those cherished routines, celebrating life as it is before the inevitable goodbyes approach. How will they honor these connections as they grow older and wiser together? As I leaned into the essence of our conversation, a realization struck me. The beauty of listening extends beyond simply hearing words, reaching into the very core of emotional labor. Through my years, I have witnessed the weight of silence in the spaces between communication, those profound moments when emotions pour forth, unencumbered by traditional dialogue. I remember a specific evening when George, my neighbor and longtime friend, gathered us around his dinner table for what would be a pivotal farewell dinner with his beloved uncle, Arthur. Laughter intermingled with tears that night, weaving the fabric of their shared history into something tangible, poignant. George encapsulated a blend of contentment and vulnerability, and as I glanced around the table, I noted that every smile concealed a myriad of unspoken thoughts. Every lingering hug held a depth beyond casual affection. That gathering taught us all the importance of creating a safe space for emotional truths within our familial relationships, encouraging one another to express our innermost feelings even if they come wrapped in sadness or joy. Empowering this sense of open dialogue inspired me to emphasize the necessity of nurturing emotional expressions beyond those goodbye moments. Our loved ones, whether they are aware of it or not, benefit greatly from our active listening and empathetic responses. I proposed to my friends that we actively invite conversations about feelings, not only during significant farewells, but in mundane, everyday moments as well. Encouraging transparency allowed us to rediscover laughter and stories long tucked away, and celebrate fleeting memories that often slip through our fingers like grains of sand. I suggested that we treat each conversation as a mini farewell, recognizing the precious layers of connection that weave through our interactions. When we truly listen and observe, unspoken cues reveal a world of warmth that can bridge the gap between understanding and emotional oversight. We can use the subtle expressions of vulnerability to ignite meaningful exchanges that can elevate even the simplest encounters into treasured memories. In addition to these emotional expressions, subtle shifts sometimes emerge through our physical presence and gestures. As I recounted to Clara and Henry, I recalled an instance when I attended my late grandmother's wake, an event marked by grief yet tinged with love. My family members embraced tightly, their hugs lasting longer than usual, each squeeze whispering their need for comfort and understanding. These moments etched themselves into my mind, serving as reminders that physical touch can both convey emotion and alleviate sorrow. I encouraged my friends to be mindful of such gestures within our daily encounters, noting how a simple, heartfelt hug could serve as a life raft during turbulent periods. Just as the warmth of my grandmother's embrace enveloped me during a profound moment of sorrow, so too could we extend warmth and acceptance to our friends and families when they encounter similar feelings. In this awareness, we hold the power to validate each other's needs while amplifying those moments of closeness that unite us. Furthermore, as we navigate the world intertwined with love and longing, it is essential to remember that humor has an invaluable role in diffusing our unease with hard topics. There's something uniquely disarming about laughter, and I cherish the joyful laughter shared between my friends and me, a testament to our resilience amidst life's inevitable challenges. Henry, often the instigator of levity, recounted anecdotes of how his late wife would find humor in the mundane, a delightful quirk that always lightened our gatherings. "Life is too short for sadness, Evelyn," he exclaimed, his eyes glinting with mischief, affirming that even in discussing serious topics, we can invite lightness to enliven the atmosphere. By finding humor in our shared experiences, we dismantle the walls of apprehension and promote a strong bond tied with candidness. Together, we could forge deeper connections, unfurling laughter into a tapestry that mirrors life's unpredictable journey, sculpting an understanding that goes beyond spoken words. As our conversation flowed seamlessly, I realized that while these subtle signs are essential to recognize, it was equally vital to take constructive action. My determination grew stronger to nurture these unspoken cues into fertile ground for conversation. With each meeting, I envisioned creating gatherings revolving around storytelling sessions, a delightful way to breathe life into our shared memories while giving sound to those unvoiced fears. It was an invitation to cultivate openness about life's unknowns, prompting us to share sagas, dreams, and fears steeped in vulnerability. I presented the simple idea of us deliberately carving out time during our weekly chats dedicated solely to storytelling, emphasizing how intentionality could create bridges over the uncertainties life brings our way. Such gatherings would offer a haven where emotions can flourish, but also invite discussions that illuminate our common paths, reinforcing our need for connection as we navigate through the complex tapestry of emotions. In this evolving dialogue, each of us had a role to play, fostering a network of emotional sensitivity through our interactions. The discussions unfurled compassionately, illuminating our shared stories and uncovering our deepest needs. Suddenly, I felt a surge of excitement at the thought of how forging spaces for these open conversations could not only nourish the bonds we share, but encourage growth within ourselves. While acknowledging these subtle signs, I saw the potential for transformation to rise within our group, urging us to create moments where each of us feels validated and understood. In taking charge of our connections, we embody the hope and warmth that can propel us through life's winding paths together. Will we cultivate these treasured exchanges and embrace the whispers of love that lead us toward profound connections, illuminated by acceptance and openness? Just as my heart brims with the joy of rekindling conversation, I sensed George leaning forward, his expression shifting from reflective to resolute. He clears his throat, preparing to share the poignant tale of his late wife, a narrative that adds richness to our dialogue about the unspoken signs we often overlook. Before Marjorie passed, I noticed something, a change that felt like a shadow creeping into her spirit, he confesses, the vulnerability in his voice palpable. Gardening was her passion, a vibrant symphony of blooms she nurtured with her heart. Yet, as time wore on, I watched her enthusiasm waning, like a flower losing its petals. It felt like losing a piece of her identity, a silent farewell that I couldn't quite grasp until it was too late. His words cast a contemplative hush over the room, urging us all to reflect on how such dips in interest can serve as subtle warnings, emotional signs of deeper transformations brewing beneath the surface. As George shared his story, it struck me how intimately entwined passion is with our personalities. For many of us, our hobbies and interests define slices of our existence, enriching our daily lives with purpose and meaning. When I think of my own garden, the vibrant colors bring not just beauty, but a sense of peace, one that can feel disquieting when disrupted. I encourage my friends to consider how we can remain vigilant to changes in our loved ones' passions. Have you noticed anyone around you drifting from what once brought them joy? I asked, eager to spark a conversation that could bridge gaps between what is seen and what is unsaid. I feel heartened knowing that we have the capacity to not only observe these shifts, but to also rekindle excitement, inviting them back into activities they once cherished or exploring new endeavors together. Henry, with his infectious laughter still echoing in my ears, chimed in, his playful spirit shining through. You know, Evelyn, when Marjorie and I grew older, we started this game, a kind of passion scavenger hunt. I'd leave notes hidden around the garden, each leading to a new adventure we hadn't tried yet. He shared a glimmer of excitement as he reminisced about their journeys exploring pottery classes, ballroom dancing, and even birdwatching. These little adventures became our way of reigniting flickering flames, he said, eyes twinkling. Sometimes, simply presenting an opportunity to step outside one's routine can be the spark that ignites curiosity and passion once more. His enthusiasm filled me with hope. What a joy it could be to collaboratively cultivate interests anew, weaving connections through shared experiences. Clara leaned forward, fully engaged with our dialogue, her curly auburn hair bouncing with intensity. What if we proactively set up events in our community that encourage exploration and connection? She proposed. It was a brilliant suggestion that ignited a flood of inspiration within me. What if we organized monthly homegrown gatherings where local families could share their hidden talents, whether it be baking, painting, or storytelling? We could create a community where everyone celebrates not just who they are in the present, but who they can continue to become by sharing their passions. I mused, imagining our neighbors gathering, laughter enveloping the space as stories unfolded. Each shared moment could become an opportunity to cultivate not just a passion, but also a connection, a reminder that it's never too late to rekindle what brings us joy. As we dreamt about future gatherings, I felt an urgency sweep over me to encourage my family's engagement with their own interests too. I thought about my son Mark, who lately had retreated from his usual hobbies in favor of long hours spent working. I resolved to gently approach him over a dinner, bringing up our conversation on shifting interests, an approach that would serve as both a gentle nudge and an invitation to reconnect with his passions. I recalled those moments when he, too, would lose himself in paint and canvas, exploring the world through colors. It was then that I sought to inspire him, not through pressure, but by letting him know just how valuable those moments are, not only for him, but for all of us who cherish his creative spirit. As the evening stretched on, the warmth of our camaraderie enveloped us, allowing me to reflect on something profound. The connections we nurture can play an integral role in our well-being. I realized the importance of not just acknowledging the unspoken signs of fading interests, but participating in the revival. Together, we can embark on discoveries that bring laughter, joy, and a sense of belonging, a way to encourage exploration paired with unconditional support. When we do so, we nurture not only one another's passions, but weave a stronger fabric across our community, reinforcing the idea that we are never truly alone in our pursuits. As I glanced around at my friends, a wave of warmth washed over me. I felt a compelling urge to carry this newfound spark into my everyday life, both for myself and for those I hold dear. "Shall we begin planning some of these gatherings soon?" I proposed, a smile illuminating my face, the excitement in my chest bubbling over. "Let's take this journey of passion together, reminding one another that we hold the power to reignite flames that might flicker dimly or even fade. Who's in to create something beautiful together?" With that question hanging in the air, I could sense the excitement of possibilities igniting within us, binding our hearts with hope and solidifying the notion that every small action we take can have a monumental impact. As our conversation danced around possibilities and passions, George's expression shifted again, like the turning of a page. "Another sign I've noticed," he began, resting his hands gently on the table, "is when someone starts withdrawing from their usual social interactions. It's as if the warmth of presence slowly dims, like twilight creeping in before the night." He shared a heartfelt story about his elderly neighbor, a man named Frederick, who had always been the life of the block parties. Each summer, he'd fire up the grill, surrounded by boisterous laughter and the fragrance of barbecued ribs wafting through the air. But one season, George noted, Frederick started attending fewer gatherings, murmuring things about just needing some rest. It felt off to him, a nuance that pierced the heart of familiarity. With every declining RSVP, I felt a shadow haunting our gatherings, and eventually, Frederick began giving away his beloved tools and hobbies, instead of taking them along with him. George continued, his voice wrapping around the memories like a soft blanket. "In hindsight, I wish I had reached out sooner, not just for Frederick, but to remind myself and others how vital it is to check in." Henry shuffled in his seat, echoing George's sentiment, igniting a spark of remembrance. "Oh, I knew Frederick well. I often wonder, what could we have done differently?" he pondered, the air thick with reflections of missed moments. "Withdrawal is a silent language. It whispers before it screams. We must pay attention." He sought to evoke the empathy within us all, calling on experiences where connection waned. Just then, a realization gripped me. How often do we overlook the significance of such changes? I could easily map these subtle cues onto my own interactions. My cousin Amanda, who once shared everything, was now often silent, a flicker of isolation silently, translating a deeper message of need. It whipped through me, an unexpected blend of recognition and determination. Could these signs lead us not to despair, but to action? I questioned, seeking the collective wisdom of my friends. Just then, Clara leaned in, as if channeling an electric current through the dialogue. "What if we decided to not just notice but intervene?" she urged, vibrant with enthusiasm. "Let's not assume everyone around us is merely tired or busy. Let's reach out, lean in, and offer our companionship." Her words resonated deeply, shifting the conversation to the art of embracing impermanence and uncertainty. Imagine if we established a small, regular gathering, nothing elaborate, just a cozy circle where friends could share what's new in their lives. This alone could bolster connection, reminding everyone to stay engaged with one another. The warmth of her proposal filled the room, palpably hopeful, and I saw the lights in Henry and George's eyes flicker brighter, as if the idea of reigniting community had sparked a flame they both longed to see. Eager now, I contributed my thoughts on how to design our new tradition effectively. "What if we had themed nights to share stories from our past?" I suggested, envisioning a space buzzing with laughter and nostalgia. "Perhaps we invite a few younger neighbors to hear our biggest life lessons. Intertwining generations would celebrate the tapestry of life, reaffirming our connections. Be it pivotal moments or the simple joys that have shaped us, sharing them could knit our hearts closer together." With every word, excitement bubbled within me. It felt imperative we not only acknowledge these subtle signs of withdrawal, but find empowerment in nurturing lasting connections. The evening was evolving. I could sense it, like petals unfurling in the sun. "And we must remember," added George, reclaiming the warmth, "that when we notice loved ones giving away their possessions, we should avoid seeing it solely as an act of decluttering. It can signify so much more, sometimes a final gift, or a closing chapter in the book of their lives." My heart fluttered as he spoke, enveloped in vivid memories. I recalled my grandmother gifting her prized heirloom quilt, a colorful patchwork of love, to my mother just before she passed. It was a bittersweet gesture, resounding with unspoken messages of affection and finality. George's call to transform these moments into open conversations left me inspired. Perhaps we could frame these changes not as fear-driven, but as opportunities to express love and legacies. As our discussions reached emotionally lifting heights, I suggested we initiate our gatherings with a focus on sharing the stories tied to these possessions. Let's capture the essence of someone's life while they're still here to share it. I could practically feel the excitement rippling through our group, the laughter at recollections, the tenderness at moments of vulnerability. It is easy to think these signs are just markers of a slow goodbye, but they could also herald new beginnings within memories and connections. Motivated now, Clara, Henry, and George joined me in a thunderous agreement that resonated through the cozy room. As the evening closed, we sealed our plans with a sense of unyielding commitment. The gentle echoes of laughter and shared stories graced the atmosphere, a promise woven of community and togetherness. I felt a renewed sense of urgency to connect, uplift, and celebrate life's gilded moments. This gathering wouldn't just strengthen the bonds we had, it would create an opportunity for shared growth, unearthing the significance of each transition, small or large. Together, we reminded each other that goodbyes could be transformed into legacies of love, captured in every moment